This is Chapter 6, Problem, Issues, and the Future of Physical Education. The general problems in physical education are time constraints. From K through 12, how many hours does a student really stay in school? When we look at class sizes, the recommendations are for elementary is 1 to 25 ratio, middle school is 1 to 30, high school 1 to 35. We definitely see more students in the physical education class, and 30 states have no state mandate. There's another problem in physical education, and that is exemptions and waivers, meaning that students are giving credit for physical education without actually attending a class. Some possible reasons for these waivers are religion, some type of testing out that they are highly skilled in some type of physical activity, and they are involved in band, cheerleading, sports, or ROTC. Some other possible reasons are long-term physical or medical disability, involvement in some type of physical activity programs not part of the school. They may be on a select soccer league, or they may be taking karate or even dance at a studio. 32 states allow this use, and really the trend is increasing. Physical activity as a form of punishment, likely still common in sports. What I mean is drop down, give me 50 because you did terrible. NASB considers withdrawing or administering physical activity as a punishment is inappropriate, and it's considered to be corporal punishment in 3 states. Short-term versus long-term. If we keep students from physical education and that is part of a punishment, then what are we saying about physical education? If we're using physical activity as a form of punishment, then we are making a strong statement that physical activity is punishment. Let's look at other problems in physical education. It has to do with facilities. Factors that influence how facilities are laid out necessarily, but not sufficient for delivering a quality program. Great facilities help, but it's not the only thing that makes a good physical education program. Access to these facilities, are they being used by other classes or used in other sports? The cost of these facilities. What about skill equity? Opportunity to develop competence is key. Which students typically lose out? The less skilled students. Physical educators' responsibilities is to make sure that the less skilled students are being paid attention to as much as the highly skilled students. A little bit about liability. We know that we're a suing society. It also has changed in what we do. We used to do gymnastics a lot. We used to do the balance beam. We used to do all kinds of different things. There used to be swimming pools. A lot of that has changed because of the liability. Districts now have risk management offices, and teacher supervision is critical, and lack of supervision can be considered negligent. What about gender? Yes, Title IX did help us, but there needs to be more. Female high school teachers still are marginalized by male teaching partners. Girls get fewer opportunities in classes and like it less than boys. Especially adolescent girls dislike it so much that they come up with excuses not to participate. What about good and bad competition? Competitive activities are inherently harmful for children. What is your stance? Some people say we should have them. Some people say that it is great to be competitive. There is good competition, and we should have competition. Good competition creates a festival atmosphere. It creates a forum in which children and youth can test themselves. It involves rivalry, which is pretty good. It also involves teamship and strive to make the best possible effort. Fair play. Everyone needs to play. The less skilled students along with the highly skilled students. Full and responsible participation, giving your best effort, being a good sport, respect the rights and feelings of teammates, opponents, and officials, being helpful, not harmful. If we look at deficits in reading and physical activity, motor skill development, what is the role of elementary schools? Specialist teachers, classroom teachers in a lot of schools are responsible for delivering physical education programs. Elementary schools usually have a self-contained classrooms, meaning that the classroom teachers usually deliver physical education. Is that fair? Most states now certify specialists in physical education. Strategies to maximize the use of outdoor areas, because elementary schools have lack of facilities. Often they use their gyms, also serve as lunchrooms. So while one group is eating lunch, what do the other class do for physical activity if the lunchroom is being utilized for lunch? They have to go outside. Then what about the outside weather? Does that eliminate physical education for the day? Providing appropriate equipment, adding permanent markings, encouragement and prompting by adults. Developmentally appropriate practice is not so much age appropriate, it is skill appropriate. It establishes a learning environment, instructional strategies, the curriculum is based around this. Of course, you have to have assessment. You have to know what the students can do in order to develop a developmentally appropriate practice, and professionalism. Curricular issues for K through 6, focus is on fundamental motor skill, not so much sports, but skill. Need for joy-oriented experiences, focus on health fitness. It does health fitness, but not all fitness. Sport focus, but not before the 4th grade. That is really important. Busy, happy, and good syndrome, opportunities to get good at something, expectations of teachers and administrators. If a principal goes by and the kids seem happy and they're busy and they're being good, then that means they're learning, and that's not true. Educational focus versus recreational focus. We need to be more educational focused. Multi-activity curriculum, meaning that we're throwing just a bunch of different activities at the program, is the lack of outcomes. Short-term units covering a wide variety. Is there enough time for learning? Possible solution, have themes. Curriculum with a focus. Difficult teaching situations, class sizes, really skill levels, and co-ed participation. Title IX, integrated males and females in more classes. Lower skill girls are often marginalized in co-ed classes. Suggested approach, Australia, co-ed participation during skill, but separate for competition. Good idea. Other factors, type of activity, what is the evidence on students' preferences? Ask the student, what do they want to do? Role conflict. Most people go into physical education because they want to coach. That is a role conflict. Expectations, attention, scrutiny, importance of high school sports. Rethinking secondary school to repair or replace, that's the question. Promising models, sport education, health and fitness club models. What about urban high school? They have their own problems, inadequate facility, large class sizes, high poverty levels, and domination by high-skilled boys. We need the conditions needed, building and sustaining a sense of community, trust, and safety. Models that are used that are promising are personal and social responsibility models and sport for peace model. Intramural programs, lack of resources, teachers' lack of enthusiasm or energy, facilities being used by school sports, that's problematic. Student transportation to and from school, coaches increasingly aggressive in controlling facilities for their sport programs. This is the end of Chapter 6. Now we're going to look at Chapter 5, Physical Education Programs and Professions. what does a physical education teacher do? And does physical education take place only in schools? By definition, physical education is limited to activities that occur in schools. Then how would you describe programs that look similar but are conducted in other places, like the recreation community or in the YMCA or Boys and Girls Club? Could a youth sport or outdoor education program offer physical education? If physical education can occur beyond what we do in schools, then why do we need it in schools? School physical education is widely supported among all organizations and the federal government. Yet, how prevalent is physical education on a daily basis in school? Why are we cutting it? If it is so important to everyone, then why do we see it shrinking? When we look at programs, what do you see as some of the common threads and features that run through really strong physical education programs in elementary, junior high, and high school programs? A supportive administration definitely is the first thing. Few teachers have duties related to coaching. We know that if you're a coach and a physical education teacher, then your time is split up between the two. And you also need strong leadership among the teaching faculty. That means your principal has to be very supportive of physical education and other classroom teachers. So when we look at a statewide approach, in North Carolina, we involved the Pepsi reform efforts, the inside out rather than have change imposed from the outside. So you look at the physical education from the inside rather having the outside influence. Curriculum of choice. You choose a curriculum. An example would be sport education. Another one would be a movement education or a venture education. Why would you choose that curriculum? In 2004, a Child Nutrition Act was reauthorized. This required school wellness and school wellness policies. And it had to include goals for nutrition education, physical activity, and other school-based activities that are designed to promote schoolness wellness. That means after-school activity classes as well. Physical education teacher as physical activity directors. The positive consequences of the School Nutrition Act was increased focus on creating physical activity opportunities beyond the physical education lessons. In other words, we include physical activity in recess and before and after school programs and during classroom breaks. Basis for the Let's Move campaign of Michelle Obama. What makes these programs work? First of all, a physical educator or a group of physical education, they must be leaders in this. Through different, each program, though different, each program stands for something specific. Programs not only look exciting, but are exciting for students. Perhaps the most important thing is that you have to have support from administrators. And again, few of the teachers have commitments other than teaching physical education. Some technology in physical education. We have the heart rate monitors, the pedometers, which are the little devices that you wear on your waist that counts how many steps you take per day. The web, of course, is a source of information for planning, online degree programs and training, videotaping of teachers, and game bikes, the Wii, those type of things. So technology has come a long way in our physical education program. What do physical education teachers really do? First of all, they plan lessons, they plan units, and they plan the whole curriculum. They plan for equipment and the replacement, the facility use, the field trips, the special events. They manage not only group of students, but also the use of parents, teaching aides, student helpers, and equipment inventory. They collaborate with other teachers, school administrators, parents, activity professionals. They collaborate in the community and university faculty members. They continue professional development through reading professional journals. They attend conferences, staff development programs, and professional contacts at other schools and in the community. They counsel students in regard to not only the goals of physical education, but also family issues and personal matters. They represent their schools, the physical education profession, and the teaching profession in general. They're expected to be knowledgeable and behave in ways consistent with the professional role. In fact, they need to be in physical shape, physical condition shape. They should be demonstrating the role of the importance of physical activity and proper diet. If you want to know a day in the life of two teachers, you can read about the story of Jay and Joan on page 106 in your book. You need to understand that physical education teachers teach as a team. So what does that mean? It means that they collaborate. It means that they team teach. It's important to be able to teach as a team because physical education classes are very large in comparison to other classrooms. So we have differences among states in preparing to be a physical education teacher. You're licensed only in that state. The level of certification is either K through 12, and that's the way it is here at Austin Peay. Some certifications are K through 6, and some certifications are 7 through 12. The number of teaching specialties, some specialties are only physical education. Here at Austin Peay, you will also be certified not only as a physical education teacher, but as the wellness teacher that is in charge of the wellness component of the high school. The amount of field experiences, your pre-teaching experience, the practical, and then the student teaching. Here again at Austin Peay, you go into your residency 1, which are still taking classes, but you are on site at a school, and then residency 2, which is your actual student teaching. The national standards for physical education comes from NASPE. They're the ones who kind of set the standards, and then the state actually has their own standards, and they take their standards from the NASPE standards. So the national standards for beginner education include teachers are licensed, again at the state level. Each state differs somewhat in requirements for the programs to be allowed to teach, and they all have kind of reciprocal agreements. National standards for physical education teachers, the National Board of Professional Teaching Standards, which is more of a national certification versus a state certification. It is the highest benchmark for teacher quality, including physical education. They have other national board. You can have it for English or math or any of your other classroom majors. Certification in teaching adapted physical education, even though you will be teaching students with disabilities in the classroom in physical education, there is actually a special certification in adapted physical education. So what does it mean to be a qualified adapted physical education teacher? It differs in requirements. A third of the states offer validation endorsement of adapted physical education and adapted physical education national standards. So when you actually take the adapted physical education course here at Austin Peay, we will go over a lot of these standards. Building a vision for the future. You want your students to adopt a value of being physically active. And so what is needed? The right instructional strategies, an inviting and supportive environment, a learning climate, alignment across school levels, and also knowing that you as a physical education teacher, you are not alone. So an overview of some programs, very special, important programs usually need extra effort, leadership from individual teachers, departments, to be both started and maintained. Your movement education program are very important. However, we usually just see them in elementary grades, but middle school and high school can certainly benefit from those programs. The physical dimensions curriculum usually is targeted at the high school level. The Spark, which you are going to be looking at a video of an overview of the program, is validated at a national diffusion network of the U.S. Department of Education. The Skill Themes curriculum involves teacher questioning and student exploration. This concludes Chapter 5.